I did not realize that I was muted there. So I completely was just talking to a brick wall. But anyways, going back to it, Ajax Fitzgerald, of course, this is a driver that that really has not had any success whatsoever in, you know, getting into these Pepsi Cup Series races whatsoever. I don't even remember him taking part in a Pepsi Cup Series event, you know, this year. So if he actually is able to hold on and, you know, grab the spot to get into the race, he will be able to make his first WRLA Pepsi Cup Series start here tonight, here at the Nashville Super Speedway. Of course, again, do apologize for the first 7 minutes for just being completely muted. I thought I was unmuted, but I guess I was not, through OBS, of course. But anyways, as far as the racing action, you'll be able to catch that tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time live over on Twitch. Full race replay will be released over on YouTube right here on this YouTube channel tomorrow. The time for that is currently TBA. So just to review your top 6 as of right now that would transfer on into tonight's show. Fitzgerald holds on to that top spot with a 5:14. And then Jordan Sumner in second with a 5:26. Bobby McGuire holding on to third with a 5:37. A 5:45 for Martin Nixon as he sits in fourth. Then Travis Crampton completes that top 5 with a 5:50. And then holding on to that final transfer spot is Janiah Hill in that number 7. So what I also brought up while I was muted for some reason was the final transfer spot was getting traded around faster than you know, obviously was getting traded faster than anybody else would trade Pokemon cards. And the only 2 drivers that, in my mind, that I know personally would obviously talk your ear off about, you know, trading Pokemon cards and just Pokemon altogether that are currently in this session are obviously Bobby McGuire and Janiah Hill. They are both very rooted into the Pokemon stuff. And obviously, as you can see, Janiah Hill is sponsored by Pokemon Go. So, you know, kind of amazing of how that all comes full circle as Hill currently holds on to that final transfer spot, closing in on 6 minutes to go here in this session. Take a look at the bottom of the running order as of right now. Josiah Munsell currently outside looking in with a 5:75 to his name. Then you have Chase McClure 8th with a 5:75 as well. Obviously, the millionth of a second bracket is what makes all the difference as of right now. Joshua Cornish, he's at a 6:15. Then Ryan Gondillo completes that top 10 with a 6:23. And then a 6:24 for Kyler Sustry, Michael DeFeo with a 6:30. Ray Atikian, who we're currently looking at right here, currently holds on to a 6:31 and then a 6:34 for Nikki Fox. And the reason why I'm only referring to the tenths, 100s, and the 1000s column, obviously all these drivers, as you can see, they're all within that 28-second bracket. So it makes it a little bit easier to obviously just point out all the other numbers on the other side of the decimal, much less than refer to the full time. We're less than 5 minutes to go here in this knockout qualifying session. No changes inside of the top 6. But we have seen some stranger things happen. Well, not really so much of stranger things, but we have seen other drivers kind of pull something out of the hat late in the going to get themselves into the show. I mean, for all we know, a driver like Michael DeFeo, for instance, could pull something out of his hat in order to make it into tonight's race. It is very, very possible. So you don't want to 100% count out somebody like Michael DeFeo, who might be able to pull something out of his hat here later in the session. Again, currently 12th with a 6:30 on his name as of right now. But I mean, so far, I would definitely say if you're somebody like anybody in the top 4 right now, you're in a pretty good spot. So McGuire, Nixon, Sumner, and also Ajax Fitzgerald, those drivers, I'm in my mind, they are in the green here as we get later into the session. But if you're Travis Crampton or even Janiyah Hill, especially Janiyah Hill, because she's currently holding on by at least 22 1,000ths of a second, I would be a little bit concerned, you know, about Josiah Munsell or even Chase McClure, you know, those two in particular, because they could also try to pull something out of their rear ends by the time that this session is done and over with. Pretty much anybody below that top 6 bracket, it's possible that they are able to pull something out of the hat, you know, later on in the session. I mean, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But as of right now, so far, really no changes. See Nixon making a move down on the inside of Bobby McGuire right here on the racetrack. This would be kind of a little bit of practice, if you will, for tonight's show. The Ally 400 here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Our first race since Sonoma last month, before we went on our 2 to 3 week break and getting back at it here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Obviously, that race was won by Steven Colon, who nabbed his second win of the season. Now he is the second driver to win 2 races on the year, other than Nia Saito, who went back-to-back at Martinsville and Nazareth earlier this year. But now I don't even know. I kind of just blanked out there for a minute, but obviously, as we're winding down on the season and winding down on the championship fight, which again, just want to remind everybody that race 21, which will be at Homestead, Miami, that's the race that will determine the championship. All the other 2 races after that will be non-points paying races. Points after Homestead will be locked up, and the other 2 races will be made up. That being Charlotte on Veterans Day, Tuesday, November 11th, and then later on that week, on the 15th, that's on Saturday at Pocono, November 15th, will be the final race of the season before we call it all good. 45 seconds remaining. So far, no changes. Still here in this top 6, which is all but good news as of right now. It is honestly some pretty good news. You know, if you are Janiyah Hill, so far no changes as of right now, but you're still gonna have to worry about that extra time that gets put down on the board, because there are some drivers where they can actually get a really good time on their last lap. So that's something to watch out for here as we get to the end of this session this time around. Additional 28 seconds have been added, so these drivers will have enough time to put down one more good lap and try to make it all count. But as of right now, I'm not really seeing any other changes that are going to happen here within these next 5 seconds. So with confidence, I can officially tell you that Ajax Fitzgerald will make tonight's race, followed by Jordan Sumner, Bobby McGuire, Martin Nixon, Travis Crampton, and the number 7 of Janiyah Hill will hold on to the final transfer spot and will race in the Ally 400 here tonight. 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live over on Twitch. It's gonna be a fun one. But I don't even know what I was gonna say. But anyways, congratulations to our top 6 drivers. They will move on into tonight's show. And as for 7th on down, Josiah Munsell, Chase McClure, Joshua Cornish, Ryan Gondillo, Kyler Sustry, Michael DeFeo, Rhea Tikin, and Nikki Fox. They will have to sit this one out and get ready for Indianapolis for the Brickyard 400 to kick off the month of August. So when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be qualifying for the Ally 400 to set the starting lineup for race 13 on the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This time it is to get you set and ready to go here for qualifying here for the 2025 for race 13 of the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series season. It is the Ally 400. We now know the 6 drivers that have moved on into tonight's main show, the main race. Now we got to set the starting lineup here for the Ally 400, and there's already one taker that's going to be heading out onto the racetrack, that being the 41 of Skylar Taylor, our winner from Las Vegas earlier this year, trying to get his second win of the season for Racing Motorsport, that being Aaron Abel's team. Aaron Abel himself is struggling massively this year. He's come close a couple of times trying to get his first win on the year and of his career, but unfortunately it hasn't quite. None of the some of those races that where he's had good runs, unfortunately the finishes say otherwise. So for Skylar Taylor, he's trying to get his second win on the season. But for his Boston teammate, Aaron Abel, it's a bit of a different story as he finds himself towards the bottom part of the point standings here for coming into this weekend. So hopefully this weekend is a good turnaround here for Skylar, for not Skylar Taylor, but for Aaron Abel. But as for Skylar Taylor, he's trying to keep that momentum going as we progress later on into the season. 28.706 to start things off here for Taylor. Trailing behind Eric Monaco here in this number 31. Monaco has come to life here for Powerhouse Crown Racing. Consistency-wise, Roberto Crown Jr. himself wound up winning at Michigan just a few weeks ago when the WRLA came back after a near-month hiatus. And he puts down a 28.577. Then Caleb Rose in third with a 5. Well, now a actually this is changing up pretty quickly here. is now, it looks like, the 34 machine, that being piloted by, starting to blank out on the names here. Alexander Rowe. Do apologize massively. It's been a little while since we've, obviously run some WRLA races, but Alexander Rowe, top of the charts, not anymore. Now that's being occupied by Ajax Fitzgerald, who proved to be very fast during the knockout qualifying session for the part-timers. He lays down a 28.480. That's faster than what he put down earlier today to put himself into this race. And to my knowledge, he is making his Pepsi Cup Series debut. I might be wrong on that. I might have to go back through the finishing order of some of the races, of all the races that we ran earlier this year, just to confirm that. But his boss, Andrew Ramsey, 6/1000ths of a second faster as he jumps up to the top of the charts with a 474. There's Ramsey, who currently has one Pepsi Cup Series win to his name. That came at Pocono just 5 years ago in 2020 when he passed Betty Johnson coming to the white flag at Pocono and did not look back from there. He was running part-time in that particular season. But now this year he's running full-time and got his own team all put together. Still have yet to win this year, whether it be with Andrew Ramsey himself or even Jerry Rose, who's also kind of in a way turned his luck around performance-wise, but unfortunately the numbers haven't really quite spoken from themselves. But nonetheless, the 00 team is honestly doing a really good job, and also Ajax Fitzgerald finally making a Pepsi Cup Series race. Seems to be finding himself in a very good spot. And speaking of good spots, Brandon Perez, top of the charts with a 28.452 here for round number 1. We are running 3 rounds here for today. Top 24. The top 24 drivers will move on to round number 2. Currently, that final spot to get into the second round is currently being occupied by Bobby McGuire, just by 2/1000ths of a second over Andrew Miller. So there's McGuire running just behind his girlfriend Janiah Hill in that number 7 machine. Then right behind him is Russell Blaze in the 69. And I gotta tell you, Blaze is honestly has been such a rocket ship all year this year, and there has been a numerous amount of occasions and a numerous amount of races where he coulda, woulda, shoulda at least won one race out of all the last 12 that we've ran. Currently in qualifying, as you can see on the board, he is currently 28th right now with a 5.37 to his name. But you never know. A pit stop could put him towards the front of the field, and maybe the right setup underneath this car could put him towards the front of the field and maybe in a good position to win. So today could be the day. I said it in Michigan. I mean, it unfortunately was not his day. But as far as today goes, it could be. We're just going to have to find out later on tonight. Nathan Stapleton, another driver who has come out of the woodworks here for this qualifying session. A 28.466 for Nathan Stapleton as he jumps up to second on the board, trailing the 88 of Braden Perez right here. So this is another driver who, in my mind, could really use a good turnaround. This season has just been abysmal for Nathan Stapleton himself. Noah Clifton, he's had a few up and down moments. Andrew Miller has had some up and down moments this year, but the only other driver that has actually been performing the very best, you can already say it, it's Zachary Fitzwater, who for a good chunk of the earlier stages of the year held on to the points lead before being overtaken just shortly after, well, just a little bit after Michigan, if I do remember that correctly. But for Fitzy, he is still in a pretty good spot points wise, and I can I can definitely bet you that he's still trying to search for his first Pepsi Cup Series win as well. He's also been competing in WRLA since 2017 when he drove for Fire Ice Racing, that team being owned by former Pepsi Cup Series driver and winner Emmanuel Hartnett, before getting signed on to NS Racing. And obviously Fitzy from here on, yeah, he hasn't looked back ever since then. But for Fitzy, he is very, very, determined and confident about nabbing his first win on the Pepsi Cup Series circuit. But it has been, it obviously has been pretty tough, when it comes to trying to get a win on underneath his belt. And it's been tough to try to get a win underneath his belt, as of right now. But throughout his entire WRLA career, if you will. But he has been showing a lot of consistency over the course of this season, and he has hung around the top 5, top 10 area in the point standings. Like I mentioned, he was the points leader for a good chunk of the earlier stages of the season, and it is very possible that Zachary Fitzwater will be a major threat for this championship when it comes down to consistency. So I am still keeping my eyes on Zachary Fitzwater, because he could be a potential candidate to win this race here tonight and possibly get a win on the season, as we get later on into the year. Closing in on 30 seconds remaining here in round 1 of qualifying here for the Ally 400 to set the starting lineup for race 13 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Perez still holds on to the top of the running order with a 452 to his name, and Bobby McGuire still holding on to that final transfer spot to get into round 2 by 2/1000ths of a second now over Jordan Sumner. You might have noticed McGuire also take his car to pit road, and there really is no point in trying to get back out on the racetrack. You might as well just put 4 tires on that thing and just call it a session, because the additional 20 seconds have been added. So these drivers will have enough time to put down one more lap before this round is officially completed. And that looks to be the case. So Braden Perez, top of the charts here for round 1. He will move on along with Nathan Stapleton, Andrew Ramsey, Ajax Fitzgerald, Val Moscow, then Travis Crampton, Stephen Colon, Terry Walker, Quentin Moore, and Zachary Taylor will round out your top 10. Clifton, Monaco, Vaughn, CG Hall, Emily Anderson, Aaron Abel, Abby Walker, Alex Bonsinger, Claire Phillips, Zachary Fitzwater, followed by Nia Seidel, Bruno Giacomo, Skylar Taylor, and the number 3 of Bobby McGuire. Those will be your 24 drivers that will move on into round number 2 of this qualifying session. And then 25th on down, this is where everybody will be starting here for tonight's Ally 400. Obviously with Sumner, Miller, Whitlock, Craven, Blaze, Rowe, Crown, Dorn, Walker, Nixon, Parton, Atikin, Hill, Little, Lopez, Rose, Marsh, and Jerry Rose. They will all be starting just exactly where they are here for 25th on down to 42nd. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be round number 2 of WRLA Pepsi Cup Series qualifying from here, the Nashville Superspeedway, to set the starting lineup for the Ally 400. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back in just a few short minutes.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in a hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite. If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in a hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at the Nashville Super Speedway to bring you round number 2 of WRLA Pepsi Cup Series qualifying. To set the starting lineup here for the Ally 400, which will take place later on tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live over on Twitch. That's going to be a pretty good race, if I may say. And now we're on to the second round, which will determine the 12 drivers that will be moving on into the final round after this 10-minute session. Obviously, you can see here, first car to hit the track, that is the 04 of Quentin Moore, who wound up winning his first Pepsi Cup Series race earlier this year at the Auto Club Speedway. Finally, after 8 years of competing in WRLA, you know, within the 8-year span of WRLA competing, obviously in 2017 and 2020, and then 2 years ago in 2023, before selling off all assets of his team over to Joshua Cornish, so that way he can come back to WRLA, especially even if it was on a part-time basis, to go racing here in WRLA competition. Signed on with Durrani Racing and has not looked back from there. A 28.905 to kick off round number 2 for Quentin Moore. And of course, a few other takers here for putting down their lap times. Of course, Nia Settle, a 28.930 for her, and then You see Andrew Ramsey now up on the board. Well, at least starting up his qualifying lap, as he just came out onto the racetrack to kick off his second round. At least for him, that is, you know. Bonsignor now to the top of the charts. Well, not anymore. Stapleton with a 538. Ramsey across the stripe. That puts him ninth currently with a 28.901 to kick things off for Andrew Ramsey. But Stapleton right now currently top of the board with a 28.538 to start things off for round number 2. Almost 3 minutes into the session. Noah Clifton, his teammate, with a 561, and Zachary Taylor jumps up to third with a 576 to his name. Ajax Fitzgerald still proving that he's got a pretty fast hot rod. Now in fourth with a 583. Then Zachary Fitzwater completes the top 5 with a 28.603. Then Bonsignor 4 1,000ths of a second. 4 1,000ths of a second back with a, well, not anymore. I mean, this whole top 10 order is just changing hands fairly quickly. All 3 NS Racing cars currently inside of the top 5. Stapleton now with a 449. I think that's the fastest time we've seen all day today. Then it's Zachary Taylor with a 488, Clifton with a 523, Fitzy with a 5. Well, not anymore. Bruno Diacomo coming out of the woodworks with a 28.444. Where did this come from? Bruno Diacomo out of Appalachia Motorsports has not had himself a good season whatsoever. Had a few glimmers here and there, but here's Bruno Diacomo coming out of nowhere with a 28.544, putting himself in the perfect spot to be safe to move on into the final round. That kicks Stapleton back to second. Then it's Fitzy third. Bonsignor in fourth. How about this for Alex Bonsignor? Great run here for qualifying. Great run during his qualifying run. Currently fourth on the standings. That would move him into the final round with Ajax Fitzgerald in fifth. Then it's Noah Clifton, Abby Walker, Zachary Fitzwater, Travis Crampton, and Terry Walker. Rounding out your top 10. And then Emily Anderson and Andrew Ramsey. Not anymore. Val Mosco holding on by 1 1,000th of a second over Andrew Ramsey to get into the final round. So here's Mosco, the third Powerhouse Crown Racing car for Roberto Crown Jr. himself. This is another team that has really been struggling to kind of keep up with the performances of Eric Monaco and Roberto Crown Jr. Of course, Roberto Crown Jr. himself nabbed his first Pepsi Cup Series win at Michigan. And then Eric Monaco, throughout the course of the season, has just been very quietly consistent, moved himself into the top 10. And as for Val Mosco, he has absolutely struggled to replicate that success throughout the course of the year. Hoping to turn that around here with a good qualifying run here at Nashville. He just got bumped out of the top 12 by, looks like it is the 17 of CG Halt, as he currently has a 538 to his name. You know, if you're Wyatt Walker, though, you do have to be happy that all of your other cars are performing, but it's absolutely gut-wrenching that Wyatt, unfortunately, is not able to replicate the same success that his cars are currently putting on. You know, for today, obviously qualifying-wise, Wyatt did not make the top 24 to get into round number 2, unfortunately, so he is starting a little bit deeper in the field. He's going to have his work cut out for him. But you also have to be happy for him at the same time from an ownership perspective, because all the rest of his cars, they're up towards the top 12 as of right now, and they're actually doing really well. Of course, Abby Walker 17th, CG Halt 10th right now. And Terry Walker is 11th with a 5:41 to his name. So all the rest of the Walker family motorsports cars, they are running really well during qualifying. For Terry, he's trying to get his first Pepsi Cup Series win, trying to replicate the same success that he had last year in the NRLOA McDonald's Cup Series race here at Nashville last year, where, you know, he wound up winning. So trying to, I guess you could say in a way, win back-to-back here at the Nashville Superspeedway, and in some technicality or another, he is the defending winner here at Nashville, even though this is WRLA's first ever visit to the Nashville Superspeedway. Less than 2.5 minutes to go here in round number 2 of this qualifying session. Emily Anderson still holding on to the final transfer spot just by 9/1000ths of a second over Val Moscow. And really no changes have been made here inside of this top 12. It is still Bruno Diacomo holding on to the top of the charts. Improved his time by 1/1000th of a second. So now he is 6/1000ths of a second ahead of Nathan Stapleton, who is second. Then in third, that's Zachary Taylor. Alex Bonsignor in fourth, and then Ajax Fitzgerald completes the top 5, followed by Noah Clifton in sixth. Abby Walker in 7th, Zachary Fitzwater in 8th. 9th, Travis Crampton. CG Hall completes the top 10, and then as we highlighted earlier, Terry Walker 11th, and then Emily Anderson 12th as of right now. That would be your top 12. That would move on to the final into round 3 if this round were to conclude right now. But still very impressive nonetheless. I mean, we're seeing drivers that normally wouldn't have the best runs in each race. You know, they're up here putting together a really good show in qualifying. Obviously, the driver that has caught my eye is Bruno Diacomo, who's packed up a ton of speed here in this number 95 to get him into round 2, and then he just absolutely blasts it to the top of the board here for the second round to get himself the best possible spot to move himself into the third and final round. How about this? Claire Phillips just absolutely coming out of the woodworks, moves herself into 5th on the board with a 28,488, and then in the process of that, Zachary Fitzwater jumps up to 3rd with a 28,477. 28 seconds have been added, so now CG Holt holds on to that final transfer spot. Anderson and Terry Walker have been knocked out of the top 12. And let's see, as we're going to watch along with Emily Anderson. And now Sebastian Vaughn moves up to 12th with a 5:35. That's going to be enough to get him in to round number 3. How about that? With the final 5 seconds left, Sebastian Vaughn absolutely dethrones CG Holt out of that final transfer spot. So he moves on into the final round, along with Bruno Diacomo, Nathan Stapleton, Zachary Fitzwater, Zachary Taylor, Claire Phillips, Alex Bonsignor, Ajax Fitzgerald, Noah Clifton, Abby Walker, Aaron Abel, Travis Crampton as well. And those will be your 12 drivers that will be going for the pole here in tonight's Ally 400 here at the Nashville Super Speedway. And then obviously 13th on down, that will be exactly where everybody else will be starting for CG Hall, Terry Walker, Emily Anderson, Val Moscow, Quentin Moore, Andrew Ramsey, Bobby McGuire, Eric Monaco, Braden Perez, Nia Steidel, Skylar Taylor, and Stephen Colon. Those will be the exact spots where all those drivers will be starting here for tonight's race. But when we come back, it'll be time to determine who will start on the pole for tonight's Ally 400, race number 13 on the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series calendar. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back in just a few short minutes.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute, please. Just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is go time here for the top 12. The top 12 here to really determine it, I should say in this case, who is going to start on the pole for tonight's Ally 400 here at the Nashville Super Speedway race number 13 on the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series calendar. We now know the 12 drivers. But now they all have pretty much 10 minutes to determine it all. Where they're going to be starting, who's going to be starting on the pole, who'd start alongside. It's all going to come down to this right here. Sebastian Vaughn, first car to hit the racetrack to kick off this third and final round of the day for Pepsi Cup Series qualifying. For Sebastian Vaughn, you really got to think about it. This would be a very good day for him because he is one of those drivers that is very, very, very low in the point standings as of right now. If I were to go back and actually look at where exactly he is at in the point standings right now, currently as of right now, he is 35th with 137 points to his name. Starting up towards the front of the field, I mean, for him, that would definitely be huge because then he'd have a pretty good shot at, obviously not only securing a good finish, which would help him in the points, but also nab his first Pepsi Cup Series win of his career, which would also do wonders for him. In the points, that is, so that way it can get him out of this rut that he's been in all year this year. Zachary Fitzwater is another driver that really doesn't have to do anything in order to, improve his spot in the points standings, but he definitely for sure wants to do that so that way he can get himself back into the points lead. because right now, I mean, I would have to believe he is somewhere top 5, top 10 in the points standings. He comes into this race 5th on the charts, 265 points to his name. So it's not too bad here for Zachary Fitzwater, you know, and I mean, he has been very consistent all year this year. And was the points leader for a while this season, but for Zachary Fitzwater, I mean, he would absolutely love to get himself back into the points lead. I mean, he is within striking distance to do it. I'd say so. He's in a good striking distance to do it. If he can get obviously the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, and then that 10 bonus points for winning the race, along with obviously those 40 traditional 40 points for finishing in first place. So Fitzy, I'd say for sure he might be in a pretty good spot to do it here today. But another driver, or another couple drivers, I should say, that would be in the best possible spots to do it is Nathan Stapleton. A 28.502 for him. He jumps up to the top of the board, followed by his teammate Noah Clifton with a 520, and then Travis Crampton's buddy, or Stapleton's buddy, Travis Crampton, I mean to say. He's top 5 right now. He was 3rd, but got kicked back to 4th. He's currently holding on to a 546 to his name. Abby Walker up to 3rd with a 540. Closing in on 5 minutes to go here in this 3rd and final round to determine who will start on pole. So far, Nathan Stapleton, he is in the best possible position to nab his first career, well, not his first career pole, but his first pole on the season. I don't think he's started up this far up at the front in quite some time. I don't think he's started on pole at all this season. So this would be huge for Nathan Stapleton's confidence if he's able to win the pole here for tonight's race. I'd say the same thing for Noah Clifton, because Clifton is another driver whom in my mind has all the ability to turn things around this year, and he's had an up and down kind of season. It's been a roller coaster of a year so far. And with 8 races, and after today, it'll be 8 races left before we determine the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series champion, and there's still a good amount of time before we get to that point. But for, you know, as far as present tense, you know, Noah Clifton definitely does have himself a good opportunity to capitalize on a really good starting position, even if it is 2nd or somewhere inside of the top 5. So for Clifton, this would be a good opportunity for him. Bruno Giacomo, I would 100% say this would be a good opportunity for him to capitalize on some good points. He currently comes into this race, I would believe, 2nd to last in the points standings. Actually, no, that was Sebastian Vaughn. But Giacomo comes in 26th on the charts with 175 points to his name. So Giacomo currently starting, who would be starting 7th here in today's race. I mean, this would be huge for his confidence if he were to nab a top 10 starting position here today. This would be huge for a lot of drivers. I mean, Sebastian Vaughn with a 556, he'd be starting in this, obviously in the 6th position if this session were to end. Aaron Abel, who comes into this event. I mean, if I look at my points over here, he comes in. Aaron Abel does. If I can actually find him here on this list. Dead last with 136 points to his name, Aaron Abel. This would be huge for him if he's able to pull off an upset win. That would definitely dig him out of dead last in the point standings. Ajax Fitzgerald, who's making his Pepsi Cup Series debut to my knowledge, or his first start in a while, either or. Top 10 starting spot for him. Alex Bonsignor, another driver who has struggled this year. He currently would be capitalizing at a good starting position just outside the top 10, but still a good starting spot nonetheless. But there's a good amount of drivers here inside this top 10 that would heavily benefit off of some really, really good finishes and could benefit their confidence with some really good starting positions, again, with Nathan Stapleton. He's won 2 races during his Pepsi Cup Series career. In the inaugural season, he won at Martinsville back in 2017. And then in 2020, managed to beat Samet Oskin on fuel mileage at Auto Club. 2023 has been a little bit of a struggle for Nathan Stapleton, and then here we are in the present, 2025, and this year has just not treated Nathan Stapleton well at all whatsoever. So Stapleton looking to try to turn it all around and try to get his first pole on the year. And he's about 70 seconds away from achieving that, as long as nothing else happens between now and when that additional 28 seconds gets added. One minute remaining. How about this for Claire Phillips? Phillips started off the season with the points lead for a little while after finishing second in the Daytona 500. Remember, if there is a part-time driver that wins, they do not get those 10 bonus points for winning the race. I mean, because the bonus points really don't count towards them, towards the part-timers whatsoever. So those bonus points go to the highest finishing full-time driver. Claire Phillips happened to be in the right spot for that, to get those bonus points. And she started off as the points leader for a little while and obviously got overtaken by Zachary Fitzwater, but Phillips had just been struggling ever since then, you know, because she hasn't really gotten all the best of finishing positions here this year. And, you know, as for Claire Phillips, she would definitely love to get a good starting spot here for this race, which she's in prime position to do here, as there's now those 20 seconds left, now 15 here for the additional time. So she is definitely going to get a good starting position here. But the driver that I think is going to be smiling from ear to ear is this man right here, Nathan Stapleton, as he will be your pole sitter for tonight's Ally 400 here at the Nashville Super Speedway. His teammate Noah Clifton is going to line up alongside. Then in row 2 will be Travis Crampton and Abby Walker. Claire Phillips, Sebastian Vaughn will make up the 3rd row. Bruno Giacomo and as well as Zachary Taylor, they'll make up row 4. And then completing your top 10, that would be Aaron Abel and Ajax Fitzgerald. And then row number 6, we'll see Alex Bonsignor and Zachary Fitzwater. Well, that's pretty much going to do it here for qualifying here at the Nashville Super Speedway. The starting lineup for the 2025 Ally 400, the inaugural running of this race here at, well, for WRLA altogether. It's all set. The starting lineup is set here for the inaugural Ally 400 here at the Nashville Super Speedway. And coming up later tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, you'll be able to catch all the action live on Twitch. So that the link to that will be down in the description. And then the full race replay will release tomorrow. The time currently is a TBA as of right now. So, or TBD, to be determined. So if you guys liked this, be sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't considered subscribing, I recommend you do so in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time over on Twitch for the Ally 400, the 13th race on the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series schedule. Have a good one, y'all.